Q&A, so that's good.
Okay. So let's do the Q&A because I think that's more important for you to understand the nature of these patches before we get into, the business aspect of back office.
Yeah.
That always can come later. So go ahead and ask me your questions. You know what? I just see Dr. N here. Is it, what is your name?
Nisha or Nisha.
Nisha. Hi, Dr.
Right.
Nisha.
Right, yes.
Go ahead and ask your question again.
So I haven't had much chance to look into as Dr. Terry just made me the part of it, I think, a day ago or 2 days ago.
Okay.
So I'm just trying to know, but we as doctors are always looking into the physical bodies and the peptides and the proteins and the ATP formations and all that. So there were two questions, as I said, as per the regulation of recommending the patch. That's the separate question. We can go over later on, or you can send me more information on it, or Dr. Terry can feed me up on it because she practices in the US as well. But my question about the cell biology was, I'm not much familiar with the photobiomodulations, even though I'm a quantum practitioner. But in order for this patch to how it works, what I understood was it reflects back the cell's own infrared light. Like sometimes through the oxidation, we lose those energy particles. So to me, it's more like feedbacking it back. But if the cell does not have enough of that, we call it, in the cell biology, the end of energy is the 6-ATP production, which is basically the source of all energy, whatever it gets converted into. So that was my question was, would the malnourished person or the person going through the chemotherapy and all those things, who doesn't have that much of a nutrition or the energy per se to reflect, how would that or affect, or do you have any research papers on it, or have you done any studies? Because I do work with a lot of chemotherapy patients.
Yes, yes.
And I also understood your part very well about these are based, the location of it are based on the acupuncture points. And that I understand it very well because I do the frequency and the electronic acupunctures. And I'm big on this whole chakra and the meridian. So putting it all together, that part I understood, like the locations, but this whole thing about the energy of the cell itself, if it doesn't have it, how would this patch work, or can we recommend it, or it's contraindicated, or there is a limitations?
Yes, excuse me. I understand your question, and it's been told that a body's regulation or these patches can never overstimulate our body because the infrared light, as you said, emitted from our cells and reflected by the patches are at a level that our body can receive. So I'm not sure if certain cells, and I'm sure, as you mentioned, that certain cells will have very low frequencies, if you will, of these light emitted, but the acupuncture points are different, I guess, that the light emitted is enough to activate whatever needs to be activated within the body. For example, it was saying that and you understand that the meridians are basically energy highways for the body, human body. And I was told that the human body is designed as a system, much like a computer, that when we unblock these frequencies or these meridians, in order to unblock it, we have to balance the biofrequencies, right? The yin and the yang, the positive and negative, basically same thing. So there's different protocols that has been proven very effective using these patches based on the traditional Chinese acupuncture charts. For example, I've personally had coached several stage 4 cancer patients successfully in mitigating their symptoms. Okay, there's symptoms. For example, the one kid who had stage 4 liver and pancreatic cancer, his doctor didn't give him more than 3 weeks. And he was in dire pain to his abdomen. He couldn't sleep, he couldn't eat. And he was a 30-year-old athlete that was just fatigued walking around the house, he says. So I gave him a series of protocol. It's called the yin yang, and I can share this with all of you. Reboot, if you will. It reboots our system by systematically addressing each of the 5 major meridians that corresponds, well, they call the 5 elements that corresponds with our internal organs, you know, the fire, water, metal, and so on, like fire being our heart. And so it daily, or for 5 days, they put a certain patch within certain acupuncture points in the body to address those meridians. And after 5 days, start with day 1 again. So this protocol is have been proven very effective, because within the first week, Steve was able to eat again. Oh, he also had chronic diarrhea that had stopped within 5 days. So went on to 30 days. Now he had aggressive tumors, growing tumors. And he made 30 days. He wasn't supposed to survive for another 3 weeks, according to his doctor. So I was very, very interested in a follow-up with him daily to see how he was doing, how he was feeling. So within 30 days, he went to the Mayo Clinic to get scanned, and he told me that they told him that his tumor stopped advancing. And actually, with the numbers, it actually reversed a little bit. So that was great encouragement, okay? So yeah, these patches, based on some of these protocols, are very effective. In fact, there is a website that a lot of us distributors are members of. It's called patchingprotocol.com. Patchingprotocol.com is hosted by an acupuncturist, Gabriel Diaz, who started this site over 12 years ago with Lifeway patches. And he's written about 13 books that you could download or buy from his website, with lots of great information in depth of how and why certain acupuncture protocols are working to balance the lower meridian and so on and so on. I never got that deep into the acupuncture part of it, but I have collected a lot of these protocols within my own file, so I can share with my downlines. The severe yin yang and the yin yang protocol, I have that. I made that myself to share with people. And this was given to me by Nikki and Julian, my upline, who are all directors. And they have gotten this from a Qigong master who tested these patches and came up with this particular protocol that it's been so effective. Okay, so that's how that had worked.
If I may also add, and this is recent to what John is stating to all of you, I have a colleague right now who has a very rare pancreatic tumor that is inoperable, and he is being treated at Mayo Clinic and the University of Michigan. He talked to them about these patches because I introduced him to it. And they said, yeah, we've heard about these patches, and we definitely want you to use the patches in between radiation. They suggested that he doesn't use them while he's being radiated because they want to make sure that nothing interferes with either one. But they said, we really believe that these patches will help regenerate and rejuvenate the stem cells that were destroyed as a result of the radiation. So that's just another little tidbit to support some of the work that John just mentioned.
So would you recommend these for someone who will be going through the remission after chemotherapy?
Afterwards, yes, not during. Even David Smith, the inventor and CEO, mentions this. Do not interfere if they're going through it, but afterwards, for chemo recovery, absolutely. In fact, these are in 2018, there's a sister company of LifeWave that's opened in Europe. It's called Seanan Biotech. Seanan Biotech was open there to distribute this technology to doctors and hospitals all over Europe because they've been using it for years. So I was there, and they had
What's the name of
Seanan Biotech, S-E-N-A-N Biotech. Seanan Biotech is in Galway, Ireland. And at that time, they had 5 programs using these patches, and one of the programs was chemo recovery. And they're not using the same names as what we have with LifeWave. Like, for example, the glutathione, Eon, and the carnosine patch, they name it something else. I don't know what they named it, okay? But yes, chemo recovery was one of their original programs. The Eon patch reduces inflammation, okay, within the body.
And the Eon patch too, by the way, it balances the autonomic nervous system. So it takes the sympathetic nervous system and shifts it into the parasympathetic. So it's an incredible product, especially for people with anxiety, besides the Nirvana patch that we have. But the Eon patch is wonderful for balancing the autonomic nervous system.
Yes.
This is Jeff Applebaum. I have a question. I was looking at the patching protocols, and often that included 4 to 5 different patches on the body. Is that what you're recommending on a daily basis for perhaps a month or so?
If you are doing the severe yin-yang protocol, absolutely, yes. That has been, in fact, let me just share that with everyone. Let me open that up and so you can see what I'm talking about. Yeah, I'm just going to open up the yin yang protocol, which is the second here.
Well, there's the bank account. There's the bank account.
Okay. So this powerful protocol is known as the master tune-up for the body. Science now know that the body works together as a unified system, basically everything I just told you. So this protocol is based on traditional Chinese medicine, acupuncture principles. And so once the body regains balance of biofrequencies, it achieves homeostasis. So that's basically nuts and bolts of it. But here it is. Okay. This protocol here uses the energy patches. Here's day 1. We go from left to right. These are all the patches within the arsenal that we have. Now the X39 was just added since 2019, but this chart's been here for over 12, 14 years. The energy patches here, the energy patch for some of you new members that don't know, the energy patches comes with 2, a tan and a left. The tan being a negative patch usually is placed onto the left side of the body, okay? In this case here, LB3 is liver 3, GB41 is gallbladder 41. Those are the 2 acupuncture points, okay? And it is said that the energy patches are the most important in addressing the acupuncture meridians, to unblock the meridians. So in this day is activating or unblocking the liver channel and the gallbladder channel in these 2 points. All the other patches are supportive. So you can actually do the reboot. And again, I named it the yin yang rebalance and detoxing, but I would call it the reboot because as the Dr. DDA and seen in biotech said that the body works together as a system like a computer. When a computer goes awry, what do? We reboot. And when we reboot, everything seems to work better because it resets the system to work, to communicate together as a system. And so that essentially is what we're doing with the human body. So day 1, you do all these patching here at nighttime. You take all the patches off.
John,
Yes.
could you advise people that are talking and not listening to you to mute their audio?
Oh, okay. Can everybody hear that? Yeah. All right. We're okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So getting back to this, it's, as you can see, every day there's a different position for the day patches from day 1 to day 5, and then different position for night patches. So on your far right, this is a special, it's called brain balancing protocol, which is a very important part of aligning the frequencies within our body to communicate with our brain. Our brain, of course, is central command center, and brain balancing is a very important protocol. A lot of people, we can do the brain balancing alone on the far right. You could do that just using the Eon patch right here in the third eye, and then this here on top of the head at the crown, the very top of the crown, and so on. And the top of the ear on the right side, at the base of the skull, and then on the left side. So this particular protocol is very interesting. I have when I first started this yin yang, or when I first started this LifeWay patches, my father-in-law at that time, he was 92 years old with dementia. And he's been out of it for, over a couple of years. And my mother-in-law was taking care of him. He was also confined to a wheelchair. And his window of lucidity was closing smaller and smaller, and very few times you can even communicate with him. And I was told that this brain balancing would really help him out. So my wife and her sister, or her mom actually, put these patches onto a ski cap. All of these locations, all 5 of these locations on a ski cap. And he would wear that during the day while he's awake, and take it off during the night and do it again. On the 4th day, I went over to the house. I remember going over there to pick up something, and my mother-in-law was at the kitchen sink. My father-in-law was sitting in the wheelchair by the kitchen table. Just out of courtesy, I walked behind the wheelchair and said, "Hey, Ba," and went over to kiss Mom. And he turned up and looked up on the wheelchair and said, "Hey, John." Whoa. Now that blew our minds. My mother-in-law, she just broke out crying. He recognized you. And I sat there and we had a good 5-minute conversation. So this is how powerful this brain balancing right here is. It's just truly amazing. And so
John, excuse me, there are 2 people waiting to be let in.
Oh, okay. Let me let them in. I didn't hear the doorbell.
Donna and Jody.
Okay. Hold on a second here. Trying to get back to it. Hang on a second.
I see Donna's name up there, but I don't see her.
Yeah, I don't find, oh, hang on, Donna right here, admit, okay. All right, Donna's coming in. So anyway, that is the protocol there for the, it's for
And
the,
how about Jody Bowles? Jody's waiting too. Hi, Donna.
I don't see Jody. Yeah. Yeah, I don't see Jody.
Okay. I'm telling her he does not see Jody.
She says she's waiting.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
John, are
Yes.
you recommending using a different patch, like throwing away the old patch and then each day putting on 5 new patches?
In this case, when you're doing the yin yang, absolutely yes, because it's the patches are fresh and very powerful. Let me explain. There's a wonderful photography of these patches reflecting infrared light when it's fresh and new. These patches are bright red in its reflectivity of infrared light. And on a micro photography of the crystals, they're very sharp ice-like, very jagged when it's fresh. And as they are exposed to infrared light, it starts to turn into a blob, very much like ice, and starts to melt. And even after 25 hours, you can still see a residual ring or reflectivity around the edge of these patches. I say about 10 to 12%. So knowing that these patches, when it's directly in contact within the human body, in this case, reflecting infrared light, it can work up to 25 hours. So for that sense, the night patches, for example, we saw the silent night and some of the other patches, we're only wear that for 8-9 hours. So to save some of these patches, what a lot of members do is take these patches off and put it in a cool, dark place, and then the following night to reuse the patches, okay? But a caveat is this: when we're doing the yin yang, especially the severe yin yang for cancer, what I would like to make sure that these patches are very, very powerful and using it 100%. So in those cases, I say, yeah, just use fresh patches every day if you're doing the yin yang, especially the severe yin yang. Okay.
Or as David Schmidt will often say, we need to make sure that every patch used is clean. And once you've used it, it's considered dirty. So.
Right. When he says the clean and dirty part is really that adhesive portion of the patch. Okay. You absolutely don't want to if you have some skin issue or skin sensitivity, you do not want to reuse the patches. And so for those reasons, corporate would say, discard the patches after 12 hours. Okay.
John, you mentioned that your mom used a ski cap to be able to quickly reapply the brain patches.
Yes.
Okay, is it possible to use thin material strips of some sort to more rapidly apply once you know locations on the body, so you can like Velcro it back on a thin patch as opposed to placing it on the skin? And will that prolong life or affect effectiveness?
Oh, that would work very well. A lot of people who are very sensitive, or even sensitive to the adhesive on these patches. So yes, put it on a tight fitting clothing, a t-shirt or what have you, or even nylon. Yes, it would work. Because as long as you have these patches within an inch of your body, it is effective. It is working. Okay.
Excellent. And it goes through clothes, okay.
Absolutely.
I am doing research with the head of transplant in a major hospital in Chicago, and in extending graft life in transplant. We're starting with kidney organs, and wanted to know about the use of the X39 and 49 and other patches in transplant patients.
Now, that would be above my pay scale. But we have great news. We have great news because we know David Smith, and he has agreed to host a webinar with all of us next month. And Dr.
Yay.
Terry was able to reach out, and he agreed because of all the doctors that we have in our team. So that would be a question you want to pose to David.
Could we get that question posed in advance, Terry, so that it could be addressed? Because,
Yeah.
you know, now working with the head of research and with the head of transplant and want to share what would be useful, or, you know, sometimes there's blanket contraindications which really are not true. People are just being overly cautious. But, you know, for example, could you tell me, like, for example, which patches would boost interleukin-2 as opposed to not? If we can look at the cytokines.
Yeah, that would be a question for David Smith.
Okay,
I will
great.
I will enter your question, Ariel, to David. And, you know, that's a really good idea. Because all of you have many sophisticated questions, it would be useful if you sent them to me so I can submit them to David in advance, and he can have a very thorough response for all of you. So feel free to do that.
And John, because I think testimonies and personal experience is so totally important in terms of informing us clinically, is there any way that I could be networked with people that have worked with transplant patients that use LifeWave patching, or that themselves are transplant patients and have decided to go and find out what works?
You know, because we as distributors are warned by corporate not to address any diseases with these patches,
Yeah.
that would not be available from us, the layman distributors. But I'm sure David Smith would share this if such a such data exists. Okay, he's very, very helpful, and that's why you know, we feel so fortunate to have him available or agree to a webinar with us. Okay?
Yes.
Yeah, this would be a question for him. Yeah.
Thank you.
Sure thing. Thank you. Great questions. And you know what, Terry, this is exactly why we needed David, because
Oh,
he's,
yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, for sure.
he's
Mhm.
excellent at this. And okay. All right.
Anybody else have any questions?
Well, okay.
Can you use the glutathione patch by itself where there's a localized area of soft tissue trauma?
Yes, in fact, there's a great testimonial by David himself. He was in the Bahamas wearing thongs, flip-flops, and he cut his toe on something and it got infected. So he himself that night put 2 glutathione patch around his toe. The next morning, it was fine. So glutathione, master antioxidant of the body, you can absolutely apply it locally and it can be very effective. In fact, there is we call the trio, the holy trinity, if you will, using the 3YH patches. The 3YH patches consist of the EON for inflammation, glutathione, and carnosine. Those 3 works very, very well together. In fact, that's a good trio to use as a first aid. If you have any type of tissue damage and any illnesses within the body, you will overlap those 3 in a clover fashion. You know, you basically like put 1 more, so 3 in like a 3-leaf clover, we call it, and you could apply it directly into areas affected. In fact, in the case of Steve Shahin, the kid with stage 4 liver and pancreatic cancer, I had him put the 3YH on his on the side where his pancreas is on the right side, every day in conjunction with the severe yin-yang protocol, okay? Now, I did talk about the severe yin-yang protocol, but I showed you the regular yin-yang protocol. The only difference between the severe is that where all those energy patches were showing, you put all 5 of those locations every single day. That's the only difference with the severe. Everything, all the other patches go according to day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, and so on. And you repeat again on day 1. So just to let you know. So with the cancer patients, well, it's patients to you, but clients to me. I'm not a doctor, so I can't call them patients. But about a year ago, I had another person, Ron, with stage 4 throat cancer. And he started this severe patching, and he was able to do that for 4 nights, 4 days, and 3 nights before he passed. His wife is a very prolific distributor now since that happened. She saw firsthand what happened to him. And he said to her that he was clear, felt better than he has ever felt in over 2 years while he was patching. And he passed peacefully in the night. So this is how powerful this protocol is. And he was obviously in dire pain at the time, and she would do anything. She bought these patches, and she said, this is amazing. So that's, again, based on that severe yin-yang protocol, using all 5 sets of patches, 5 sets of energy patches. So that's 10 patches alone, just in the energy patches on the body. So that addresses all of those meridians, I guess the key channels or key gates of these 5 meridians at one time, okay?
So, John, apparently, Jody Bowles is still waiting. I don't know why we can't get her in. I don't know what's happening.
Okay, I see her now.
Okay, he's okay.
All right. There she is, Jody Bowles.
Oh, there, okay,
We can see her at the bottom here.
okay.
Okay,
John, I have a question on Parkinson's disease.
yes.
What patches could be used for that?
Who's speaking? Is this Jody?
This is Fiona.
Oh, Fiona, there you are. Okay. Yes, you know what? I've had a very positive event with one of my old partners, not doctor, he's not a doctor, it's Colonel Ron Savins. Colonel is now, I think he's now 96, but he was 93, who diagnosed with Parkinson's. And I went out to patch him with the X39 on the back of his neck and a set of energy patches, because he had tremors. And this guy's a genius. He's the guy that invented the coding for the stealth bomber and the space shuttle. So he was a business partner of mine. We worked on a project for years, and very, very lucid-minded even at that age, even today. So I remember calling him, and he said, oh yeah, they diagnosed me with Parkinson's, and I just have no energy anymore. I can't go out to my lab. And these damn hands are shaking. I can't do a damn thing with it. So I went out there to see what I can do. So at that time, I didn't have any protocol for Parkinson's. I just thought, let's see what the X39 can do. So I put an X39 in the back of his neck. And because he had no energy, he was fatigued, I put a set of energy patches on his wrist. And this is about 4 o'clock. In fact, I recorded this, and I could share this with you if you'd like to see it now. Would you like to see that? Anyone?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Let me pull that up. So, from what I patched him with at that time, since we've added the glutathione to Colonel, and he's still doing fine. And his wife, I communicate with her regularly. Now, this has been 3 years. And so he's patching daily with the energy patches and the X39 and now the X49 to help with his stamina and strength. And he patches daily with the glutathione patch, because I had learned that the glutathione patch with Parkinson's people, they are low in glutathione. So, I thought, well, then the glutathione patch can help him, and it sure looks like it's helping him. Okay.
Excellent. Where would the placement be for the X49? Where would be the best place for that?
Yeah, the X49 is the same as the X39. The 2 recommended points is perfect. So what I do, I would have X39 on the back of my neck and X49 below the belly button, and I just alternate the 2 every other day.
Okay.
Again, just to keep in mind that the X's, hold on for 1 second, let me see. The X's, the stem cell patch, because it elevates the copper peptide and just below our skin, that you can literally put it anywhere, okay? And it will be activated. So
Which one
the
would be
X49, X39, those 2.
anywhere?
Yeah, they say you can put it anywhere on your body and it will work. But
the reason, Ariel, that the literature recommends specific points is because those are the points with which the research was done. But David Schmidt, the developer and owner, will often state that it really is okay to put the patches anywhere they will work, but he speaks directly to the research with which the work was done.
Okay, here's Colonel Ron right now. This is a couple hours after I patched him and after we had dinner at his house.
Tell me, I mean, we patched you tonight with the X39. Yes, and what time is it right now? It's 9:45. And can you tell us what your issues were? The tremors, which are my malady is gone. I'm shaking. And why were you having those tremors? Why were you having those tremors? Parkinson's. Okay, we put X39 on you, and it's been 5 hours. Look at
Wow, that's
Excellent.
incredible.
that. That is incredible.
It is.
Wow. Nah, thank you. Thank you.
I could cry at that.
Is that
That's
clip
amazing.
available?
It's amazing.
Application of X39.
Okay. Yeah, that's something.
Yes.
So I checked in with his wife, Gloria, a couple of months ago. He's still doing fine. So they're patching daily. So I would say that's
Wonderful. Thank you.
Okay.
Is it the X39 and 49 are the only 2 that stimulate the copper peptide?
Yes. Yes.
So the others will stimulate, for example, the carnosine or the glutathione or the eon?
Yes, they would stimulate the receptors for our body to produce carnosine and glutathione.
Okay.
In fact, the clinical study shows that it elevates our glutathione production by 300% in 24 hours. And that's in the clinical studies in the science and clinical evidence. Isn't that amazing? 300%. You doctors know the amazing part of that. It's just.
There's one other energy patch that's mentioned
Yes.
in the set. I'm not sure that I have that one. Do you know which? Does it start with an E? Or I'm not sure what.
It's called energy enhancers.
Yes.
Yes, that's the one that comes with 2 patches, a tan and a white. And when I showed you on the yin yang protocol where the energy patches are,
Yes.
that's the most important. That's the most important patch. And they said that all the other patches are supportive. So that's important to remember.
Is the most important patch?
The energy patches. When we're applying the yin yang protocol. I tell people, and it was been explained to me that the yin yang protocol is really like a rehabbing this old house. Okay. When I first started, this is what, 4 years ago, you know, 65, I'm 69 now. I used this protocol on my dad, who I told you last time, who suffered from a mini stroke. And this is when I first came across these patches and learned what it can do. So I used the yin yang protocol on my dad at that time. He was 95. And the doctor told my brother and I that he would be bedridden for the rest of his days and for us to prepare for it. So we did. Well, we're fortunate enough to have round-the-clock care for him at his home. And the maids at that time, caretaker, took care of him, and I taught them how to patch him daily. And within 45 days, he was up and walking. I think I shared that video with you last time, did I not? Yeah, of my dad not even wanting to use the walker. And he was walking behind the walker a couple of feet, and it's 45 days afterwards. The maids was, the caretaker was so excited. They called me in the morning. I went down there and I recorded it. So again, this is personal experience from the Yin Yang reboot. So
John, there's one more person, Daphne, waiting to be allowed in.
Daphne.
Sorry,
Okay.
sorry to interrupt.
All right. I'm amazed that this Zoom does not have a doorbell and alert me.
Recording in.
Hello, Daphne. Welcome.
Hi,
Hi,
Daphne.
John. Hi, Terry. Hi, everyone.
Hi, Daphne.
Okay. Did I answer the last question? Adequate?
Yes.
Okay.
I have a question, a quick question. I've been using the X39 patches and occasionally the ice wave. And what I'm feeling, and I feel wonderful. I do. My pain level's gone right down. I have more energy. But what I'm finding.
You got frozen, Fiona.
This is Tim. I'm Fiona's
Sorry,
husband.
sorry, my battery went flat on my
Oh, there you are. Okay.
And what I'm finding is my short-term memory seems to be short. I
Yes.
can't remember things.
Yes.
And is that anything to do with what's going on? Is my brain clearing out? What's going on?
Absolutely. The X39, there was a doctor, I forgot the doctor's name, but there's a clinical study in our website for cognitive function. And there was a brain mapping of a photography where the brain is red. And after 6 weeks of all the people tested, the brain had calmed down to a nice blue. So the X39 has clinical studies showing that it improves cognitive function within 6 weeks. So yes, absolutely. Isn't that great?
It is. But in the meantime, I'm having difficulty remembering short-term stuff. So
It's going to get better, but you know what? I suggest, I mentioned the brain balancing earlier with the Eon patch. Do that for 10 days and then let us know.
okay, perfect. Thank you.
That is amazing.
Yeah, thank you.
Would, John, would that mean still with the application of it on the back of the neck?
Right, right.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
the X39, absolutely. Daily, anywhere on the body, but specifically suggested behind the neck and below your belly. And all
With the Enon.
the Eon?
The Eon, yeah. Are you saying for 10 days to have her try it, still wearing it behind the neck?
There's a specific protocol I shared earlier, and I will share that with Dr. Terry and all of you too. It's very specific areas on the brain, on the head, actually. 5 points, third eye, above the right ear, at the top of the head, at the base of the skull, at the back of the head, and then finally on the fifth, on the top of the left ear. So those points you wear it at night, one per night, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and that's on the protocol. All you have to do is follow that protocol. And once it balances our brain, then all the other patches seems to work better. Because when the central command of our body is in balance, then the other patches, no matter where we put on the body, especially meridian points, it communicates with the brain. So I want to back up to something that I shared with you, some of you earlier on the last webinar, the Zoom, is that when I was at Copenhagen, that Dr. DDA, who emceed this conference, medical conference in front of 350 some doctors and scientists, when he said that the human body functions as a system like a computer, and how today at science we can detect the life force energy he used, because the life force energy within the body is more important than blood flow. And he used diabetic patients. He says, when you have a limb that is ulcerated, we can detect there's no energy flowing to that limb, therefore no blood flows, and the tissue starts to die, and we end up having to amputate. But they also have found that when they can unblock these meridians and allow the energy to flow, then the body can and will heal itself. And he says this energy highways on the body we have found to be made out of collagen fibers that communicates via light frequencies within our body with our brain. So that's how he introduced the technology of these patches based on that. And so everything makes so much sense. And he also said that these energy highways, so-called meridians, are located in exactly the same points as the 5,000-year-old acupuncture charts, which again, that blew my mind, okay? So knowing that the energy flows through the meridian channels, when we put these patches on these specific acupuncture points, we are unblocking the energy to those channels and allowing the chi energy, the life force energy, to flow through our body, and it heals our body. It knows inherently like better, homeostasis, that our body will heal itself. So balancing the brain is one of the key issues, because again, that is our command post. So when our brain is balanced, then seems like all the other patching using other protocol works very effectively. And that kind of makes sense in what I just.
Would you be able to share that information or the paper or what you just, because there are a few key words of bridging that whole flow of energy and the clinical part of it with the collagen that caught me, and I would like to, look at it again to remember like how he bridged it. So if you'll be able to share that part of the research or the presentation or.
Oh, yeah, that's not really a research. That was a
presentation.
That was a presentation that I just took notes on, because Dr. DDA, who emceed the opening of that meeting for Seen in Biotech, that's what he said. He said, we science today know that the human body functions as a system. And that's when he went into the energy that flows throughout the body being more important than blood flow. And immediately that caught my attention. What's he talking about? Everybody, definitely caught our attention. And then when he referred to the energy flow as chi energy, wow, this is literally East meets West for the first time that I've ever heard, based on science. And then again, it blew my mind, and we all grew up, here we've seen acupuncture charts and always wondered, how does putting a needle on your toe help with your brain, and so on. And this makes sense to me. So within that presentation, this whole technology of the patch, I got it. Okay.
For the severe yin yang balancing, would we be able to get copies of the placements and those wonderful images that you had for the yin yang and also the brain balancing?
Absolutely.
Yes, if you send it to me, Jen, I'll send it to all of them.
Yes, in fact, I'm going to share my whole folder with you, Terry, because you all are doctors. I want to let you know that I'm going to share this screen with you so you kind of get a sense of what I have and what I can share with you. And again, I need to give all 99% of the credit to patchingprotocol.com, okay? Just patchingprotocol.com is a members only. I think it's like $100 a year, but it's well worth it if you really want to get into the nitty gritty of how acupuncture works with these patches. Give me a second here. But it's not a user-friendly website per se. They do have protocol from A to Z. And I'm going to share this with you, what I have put together in the past. Okay, I'm going to share a screen here.
I tell you quite honestly, it's really worth it to pay your fee to get into the patching protocols and buy their protocols, because you get 100 different protocols and plus a lot of further information. So it would be useful for all of you to do that.
Is it just for LifeWave, or is
Yes.
is this
Oh,
site
no.
just promoting the LifeWave product?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. I would think so. Just checking.
So it's patchingprotocols.com.
Yeah, this Gabriel Diaz is an acupuncturist, and he's written several books, very popular books. One book on arthritis and another book on pain, and he goes in depth to explain why certain things work for different maladies, okay? But
Oh, yeah.
here's what I've done. I have put together a whole list of protocols, and you can see here from A to Z. Here's one for autism and ADHD.
Are these something that we can access to for your PDFs, John?
You can. You can. For example, here we go. In that website, he would have this, but then he would not have the picture along with all the verbiage. You can read all about it, and then you see Eon on GV14, unless you know where GV14 is. You click onto the highlighter, it'll take you to a different page and show you the acupuncture chart of where GV14 is. Then you have to go back and forth, and by the time you're done, I don't know where to put what.
Yeah.
So what I did through the years is I put these PDFs together, I edited down for people, and I would share with people. So that was for ADHD. And here's one for dizziness. I have one for hot flashes. I have over 150 that I put together. Here you go, dizziness option. You have dizziness, here you go. You know, carnosine on TW5, triple warmer 5, and it shows you 3 fingers above and so on. So it's very detailed with the illustration, so it makes it very easy to use. Now, if you really want to get into the deep acupuncture of why it's working, why the carnosine, then that website would be a great way to understand and learn. Okay.
So did I understand you to say that you will forward that PDF entire document so I can forward it to them?
Yeah, I will share that folder with you with 150 PDF.
Right.
John,
Thank you so much.
Okay.
That will be very helpful. Thank you,
And-
because that was my another question about the ADHD protocol.
Yeah.
But if you'll be able to share the whole folder, that makes it much
Yeah.
easier. Much,
Right.
much
Thanks,
And
John.
John,
Yeah.
I agree with everybody else. I'm doing primary care medicine and psychiatry, and I see a lot of ADHD, some autism, and a lot of OCD. So these protocols, the sooner the better. That'll get me started on
Yes.
the patch protocols.
I
It's
would definitely
also
share that with you.
the systemic side effects of all these ADHD medicines.
Yeah.
So, Dr. Jeff, I agree with you. And some of the kids I'm working on to have them get off the medicine, what we call is the holidays, drug holidays, and then trying to figure it out how to balance them. So this could be good. Thank you.
It's very rough on the kids, the ups and the downs, and on the family dynamics. how to pace the medicines. And then if they don't want to do the medicines, then it's really a downside for everybody.
Yeah.
So
I
if they-
think I would look at adding the patches to the medicine, perhaps, and see how that would go as a combination.
Now, there's a caveat to this. David Smith has said that the medications, I guess these are drugs, can mitigate the effectiveness of the patches. But with that said, what I have done with some people that I coach with these patching, and I refer back to a gentleman who's was taking oxycodone and so on, all these different medication for his back. He had back surgery and was in just awful pain. He walked at the, with almost a 50-degree bent to one side. So I patched him with the X39. This is when X39 first came out in the back of his neck. Then I used the ice wave patches, was designed for mitigating pain on his back. And also I put the Coniston. So anyway, I do have the back pain patching protocol. So long story short is this, it helped him, but he wasn't ready to relinquish his meds because he's become so dependent on it. And so I said, you know what, why don't you start weaning yourself from all the meds that you're taking? For example, like take half of it and use the patches, and then stop taking it at lunch and so on. So his wife agreed, and so they did that. So within a week and a half or so, he was completely off of the meds and he was just using the patches. So that was a nice transition.
Yeah, because, I am, on the top of being the integrative medicine doctor, I'm a pharmacist as well. So weaning them off and start, trying other alternatives is like wonderfully bridged in my practice. And I would love to network or connect with Dr. Jeff or any of you guys, because these are the alternative things that we are trying to bring. And I'm a practicing pharmacist in a state of toughest state, which is in New York. So
wow.
It takes
John,
a lot.
John, could you, is it possible that you send all of us the names and the areas of interest and perhaps the type of either pharmacist or physician? And so we could have emails to be able to communicate with one another?
That would be fantastic. Yes, let's do that. Terry, you and I can do that.
Yeah.
That'll be a help.
My husband has a question.
John,
A statement.
yeah. I have a neuropathic issue due to failed back surgery and poorly recovered nerves. And the bane of my life is the opioid. It has destroyed everything. So I'm trying to work off of that. I have questions about this now 12-year-old damage and how much of it I might be able to recover, and weaning myself off of the opioid by using the pain and the X39 and backing that out and decreasing the opioid. But am I on the right track?
Well, you have seen a difference though, haven't you, by patching?
The patching has improved the pain levels, and I have been able to decrease or eliminate my daily breakthrough issues. But I still have 16 milligrams of hydromorphone extended release I need to get myself off of.
Okay. I want to share something with you that's just recent. A mother had a 33-year-old son who is coming off of heroin. I guess he was detoxing. There's 3 levels of drugs that they give them, and he was on his 3rd. I don't know what the name of it, and a lot of you probably would know because you're doctors. But she said that, yeah, he's just wasting away. He's not eating, has no appetite. He really wants to get off of this. And what's the way to go about doing it with the patching? And I suggested the Nirvana patch, okay? The Nirvana kit, Nirvana elevates the endorphins and serotonins in our body. And most of you know that these endorphins are more powerful than morphine in the body, but they are short-lived. They only elevate for a certain amount of time and then it goes away. So David Smith in his genius developed this seaweed supplement. So it comes with the patches and these little pills that they're all natural, of course. It takes 2 a day, so to extend the elevated endorphins. And she told me that it really helps for him to wean off the drugs that he was taking. So that's sort of a step off where if you're feeling better, and most of you psychologists and psychologists know, right? If you're feeling better, then it really helps your improving to wean from the medication. And that is helping. So I would suggest that.
My biggest concern with this is I still have pain, and because I to be completely pain-free, I have to take so much medication that I'm just flat brain dead stupid. And that's what bothers me the most. My concern is getting that pain down so that I no longer feel the need to find a way out of the pain.
Yes. And that's going to have to be a trial and error in weaning down your medications. Okay. Because it's the medication is stopping the patches from working at the best that it can. So I will, when I shared the folder with you, you can try the ice wave and,
using
some patches and see what area and it's a practice with all these different protocols. And I would suggest that just from my own experience, you could try the different options that they show, okay, with different patches. And some will work very well for others and some will not. So try the different patches, different protocols for your back pain.
Tim,
Yeah.
that's a really good idea to entertain the Nirvana patch. And also, perhaps, if I were in your situation, I'd also entertain the EM patch. And again, it's because when you're in pain, then the sympathetic nervous system is activated. And the EM patch will shift the sympathetic nervous system into the parasympathetic. So it really works on the autonomic nervous system. That's a really good idea to just pair those two together with the X39 and see what happens, experiment with them. But remember, your condition didn't get there in a month's time, so you really have to stay on them for some time and just feel what your body's doing.
Yeah, well,
there's been good improvement already, which is very encouraging,
Yes.
I just have a quick input. I won't take long, just a quick input for that specific condition that I think it's his team's screen. Because when we do the studies and, like how the placebo works and nocebo works and all those things, and then by now, that I have a couple of underlying backgrounds as well. When anything to be working, right, the mind plays a big role in that. So in introducing any other modalities could help for everything to work as well. Like as John said that these frequencies and the medications, because the medications does have the frequencies, ultimately it's all about the frequencies and they could interfere. So in order to wean you off from all those chemical bonds of the medicine and introducing the patch along with that, if you would try any other modalities like the counseling or the neuroplasticity, these are not something that we talk about it in a conventional medicine, but there is a need of it because that gap is there, right? So that was just my little input into like, would you try something else like the counseling or the, neuroplasticity, which is rewiring the brain and the neurons.
One of my clients actually has been using a device which helps you rewire your brain. She's been suffering with chronic depression. She's been through therapy most of her adult life through childhood trauma. And she's been using it for coming up about 2 months, and she's seen a huge improvement. She said it's the most content she's felt in her entire life.
Wow.
What is the device? What is the device?
I'll send you the link, Terry.
Okay.
And to buy, it's $10,000, but she rented it for 3 months because apparently it takes about 3 months to do that transition in your brain. So, but after 2 months, she didn't feel good at first, and her therapist had actually gone away for Christmas, as most people do. So she didn't have anyone to talk to. So she was doing a lot of talking with me, and and I'm not particularly qualified, but I did my best just to listen to her. But it was very interesting. Anyway, she's come out the other side of that and is feeling marvelous. So she's about 2 months in now.
Is that in the realm of neurofeedback?
Yes.
Yeah, because Fisher Wallace has something out that they've
Good.
Let me find the link. Let me find.
So, originally the neurobiofeedback or a neuroplasticity didn't use any gadgets, right? It just used the people talking. So you could always look into those things. The gadgets make it easier, technology, all that.
Yeah. Yoga.
I'm not selling myself, but I just talk, right? And we do the Zoom, and I do the neuroplasticity, and it's the 12 sessions. Yeah. But again, I'm not putting out there on the gadgets. Yeah.
It's Apollo Neuro. I'll send you the link, Terry, so you can have a look, and then you can tell me what you think about it as well.
But my point was to use any other modality along with it to help rewire the neurons.
I do have a question, John, along those lines. Since I've done extensive work in pain management as well, is there I know frequency, I know light. I've worked a lot with magnetic therapy also to help people with pain disorder. Can that be used as a complementary way to bring more energy to the acupuncture points that you're using with the patching? Can you combine those? Like with maybe 5,000 gauze magnets?
I'm not sure. I know that there are bio beds which use infrared light. Magnetic, that again, David Smith has done a lot of magnetic field research and study. So I don't think that it would impede on it, but it can help because it's different frequencies. One is dealing with infrared light, the other is magnetic field. And that would be a question for David as well when we have that. He can really address that in detail.
Yes. Especially if you want to encourage the detoxing and reducing and eliminating pain medications, to have something that's a bridge to that would enable somebody to do that, to be able to patch without the obstruction of the higher dosages of medicine. It might be something, if David Smith thinks it's okay, to look into.
Yes, that would be something that only David can answer.
Yeah.
And I want to add something to what Nisha was saying earlier regarding neuroplasticity. A really great book to read in terms of neuroplasticity is really The Biology of Beliefs by
Bruce Lipton.
Yeah, by Bruce Lipton. Thank you very much. Yeah, so that would be a really
Yeah.
good to read.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah, Anisha, it's exciting that you do talk therapy towards neuroplasticity because we know there's rewiring that occurs as people interact differently around problems and challenges.
Right. And to Dr. Ariel, it's very interesting because this infrared and magnetic, I make a use of every single thing. The protocols that I develop is like the 5-dimensional, like literally bringing the quantum model, which is the physical, vital, mental, emotional. So I do use the pulse electromagnetic field therapy, which was actually introduced to me by Dr. Terry.
Yes.
And I just have began putting the things together around it. So I do use the infrared because I have that bed of the magnetic field, and then I brought the infrared on it. And then while I have the patient on it, I'm doing the neuroplasticity, which basically I'm talking. But I've made like a whole presentation that I go over with my patient on the first time, how these things work. So pictorial. So this whole Bruce Lipton, Joe Dispenza, everybody coming together, the magnetic field, all this, and I live with the physicist who smashes the electrons. So this whole energy field and everything, of course, we are all experimenting. We don't know everything, but I have been able to get the great results and always exploring the new things.
That is what integrative model. It will be very, very useful for managing severe pain and decreasing medicine. So it's really the pulse electromagnetic therapy would be a great addition.
Right. So I mean, I love to connect and network, and we could do the brainstorm. This is amazing, just like that whole collective model that I've been trying to bring, and Terry knows more about it. I don't want to take up everybody's time, but I guess the time has come.
Great.
That's terrific.
So John, you can see that David Schmidt is going to need 5 hours with us, right?
I think he would be very happy to spend that time with you all.
Yeah, good.
Yes.
Any other questions from anyone? Carol, do you have any questions?
No, I'm just listening and learning. But
Hey.
it's been excellent. Thank you. And I appreciate all the resources being shared and so forth.
And John, thank you for incredible
see what-
generosity, because, you know, an accessible model, an accessible protocol makes the world of difference.
Yes. Yes. Well, that's what we're here to bring to the world. With all of your experiences, this is just amazing gathering of information and talents. And Terry, you know, with these patches, it's just the beginning, just this little scratch of the iceberg here, if you will. It's literally still the same. It's almost like compared to the wild, wild west, what these patches can do and what we all can still do with these patches is still being discovered on a daily basis.
You know, John, Nikki told me just this morning that the X49 is going to be available to us the 1st of February by itself rather than in a bundle.
Mhm.
So I would like you to explain the difference between the X39 and the X49.
Well, the X39 resets 1/3 of our genomes. So that's still
Say that again. That you said that very fast. It sounded important.
for me. She wanted me to explain the difference between the X39 and the brand new X49. From what I know of the X49, there's still pending some clinical studies that has not been published yet, but about to. There's great indication of physical enhancements in strength and stamina. Don't know, I forgot what that word called when we age and we lose muscle mass, but it seems to work very well in replacing that muscle mass.
Atrophy of the muscles.
What was that? I'm sorry.
Atrophy of the muscles. That's the
Atrophy.
muscle wasting when we age.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the X49, it's supposed to replace that. Okay. So a lot of the studies that has been released are all predicated on physical enhancements, such as the test group were able to do 50%, and don't quote me on these numbers, 50 to 60% on more sit-up, chin-ups, and so on with just the X49. But when you use the X39 in conjunction with the X49, it seems to elevate it up to 70+% of physical enhancement. Okay?
And it tends to, the X49 tends to reshape the body.
Yes, that's because it deals with the muscle mass loss.
Yeah.
Could see,
And it reverses, it doesn't just have an anti-aging component, but it reverses the aging process. So in a 6-week period of using the X49, the arteries reverse by 2 months.
that's the
That to me
X39.
is, pardon?
That's the X39.
Oh, I thought that was the X49 that's
No.
doing that. That reverses aging, not anti-aging. That
Correct.
reverses aging.
Yeah, the clinical study on the X39 conducted by Dr. Melinda Connor, within 6 weeks, the patient's biological age of their artery had reversed, gotten younger by 2 months. So I did the math on that. That means every day that we wear the X39, we're not, at least our arteries are not aging today, but we're getting younger by a day and a half. Now that's huge. If our arteries are getting younger by a day and a half every day we wear it, what else is getting younger? So as you know, clinical studies cost millions to do, and the arteries are the most, if our arteries getting younger, everything else I feel is getting younger. So it's amazing.
Would that reverse the plaque formation in the arteries?
I don't know. I don't know.
If there are any research on it,
Yes.
love to know about it.
Yeah.
Because that will be the great for cholesterol then,
Yes.
and the heart disease.
You know something, and it's amazing, and I don't know which patch is responsible for what, but you know, I've been patching since 2018, and I used to have, you know, high cholesterol, not too high, and high blood pressure. Again, is just, again, not too high. I'm all well. I have no cholesterol, and my good cholesterol is excellent high, and my blood pressure is normal. And you know, at this age, this is amazing.
So would you share your protocol for that blood pressure and a cholesterol, whichever the patches that you were using?
There are, you know, I have within my protocol list for high blood pressure. I never use that. I did the yin yang once when I first started, okay? Because it's the master tune-up of our body. And I equate that to, as I started to say earlier, it's really like rehabbing this old house. At that time, the old house is 65 years old. You have cracked window, leaky roof, and so on.
Right. So we say cleanup is important, and then we can start rebuilding. That helps. So,
And from John's description, you start with the brain because everything else will follow more effectively. So with the brain protocol.
Correct. I suggest this highly to just all of you to do the yin yang reboot for 30 days yourself and experience all that. Okay, there's I shared with you earlier, it has all the patches, and do that for yourself. It's amazing because this is, when I started, I just shared this with my family and friends. I had no desire at that time to do this as a business. In fact, I still don't. I do not recruit, as you know, told Dr. Terry. But I am so fascinated at this technology that I can talk forever to anybody who's interested to share this technology. And I get God, it's amazing when I have people email me and said, God, this is life-changing. And I had a nurse that really started me off this, and she attributes me for saving her life, okay, with these patches. And so this is amazing. So do the yin yang. I did that myself. My wife did it, and I shared it with my brother and so on. One of my best friends. What a great story is that just after 2 weeks, my best friend, and he took me to lunch, and he showed me, he just came back with a blood test report, and he said, 10 years ago, my triglycerides were 200, and at that time, my doctor said it's okay, for my age, and then it climbed to over 500. He said it was like 525 or 530, something pretty high. And so I didn't know that when I had him do this yin yang reboot. I said, hey, give yourself a tune-up. So this is 2 weeks, 14 days. He came and took me to lunch, and he shared this paper. He says, it was over 500. He says, after I'm doing your yin yang, he says, what do you think my triglycerides are today? I thought, geez, I don't know what, 300, 400, 150. Went from 535 or 525, over 500 to 150 in 14 days. So this is amazing, amazing.
So that was a yin yang reboot, right?
Yin yang reboot.
Oh, let's
Right.
stop.
And again,
Dawn, when you do these protocols, you had mentioned that if you leave the patches on for 24 hours versus about 11 or 12, that you actually decrease the effect of the patches.
What happens is our body is attenuated, okay? The phenomena of attenuation when we overstimulate or stimulate our body a certain amount of time that is no longer stimulated by the stimulus. So that's why I suggested 12 hours on and 12 hours off. But everybody's different. You can leave it on for 24/7. The patches would never hurt you. It may cause some skin irritation because you don't want to leave it on that long because it won't let your skin breathe where you have the patches on your skin. But it's always good to have at least 8-hour break in between patching with the same patches. And I got this straight from David Smith, because for years we had thought that, well, if I had the Eon patch or a patch on a specific acupuncture point, that after 12 hours could take that patch off and put it on a different acupuncture point. That's not so. He said it's the receptors that gets attenuated. And I clarified this. I said, so if we had a glutathione patch on our body during the day, I could take that off and put a X39 on and it will be fine. He says, yes, because they're different receptors. So although the patches, as I indicated earlier, last and can work up to 25 hours, with still a 10 or 12% residual reflectivity, that if we leave the patches on too long on the body, it's just burning it out and our body is not benefiting from it because our body receptor have attenuated.
Okay.
John, what contraindications are there for the yin yang balance?
Contraindication, you mean any side effects?
No, I mean, who would be prohibited from using it?
No one, actually, because
No, it's
Like,
indication.
for example, like people with the pacemakers or the, like the pumps or the defibrillators, things that I think that's what Dr. Ariel meant, probably.
People who have had any kind of transplants, anybody who's on immune suppression, anybody who can't have, well, I just said, are there, if there's no medical contraindications, that's wonderful. We just need to know.
right. I don't know on all the details regarding transplant. I just remembered somebody asked David Smith about a transplant and, to be honest, I forgot what he said on transplant. So that would be a good question for David. I just remember that it would not be a negative per se, But when you're talking about electronics and so on, yeah, I can't, I'm not qualified to answer that question.
Well, and you know, it's good also like pacemakers, defibrillator, anything like that.
Correct, correct. I don't know.
I asked the issue regarding pacemakers to Nikki, and she says there's no contraindications with the pacemakers at all
Okay.
that she's aware of. But I would be concerned with those who are on immune suppressant medications. So
Right, and the
that-
people
that
with
is
the
one.
defibrillators and some people nowadays have the pumps, right? Like the diabetic pumps or the pain pumps. So that was just a question that I would piggyback on Dr. Ariel's, any contraindications.
Yeah, so write those questions down so I can provide them to David Schmidt. And then he'll be prepared for all our questions too. Yeah, that'd be good.
Thank you.
Well, John, we've kept you for a couple of hours already. I actually think that we possibly need to reschedule the business back office workshop another time because this is enough of your time on a Sunday. We're very grateful to you. And unless there is something pressing from anybody, we can say goodbye to John and to everybody and let him enjoy Sunday with his family at this point. Anything else pressing that anybody wants to ask?
I just know we're all on different time zones. And so I would have been prompt if I would have known the time, but it was a little confusing with different time changes, which I know can happen. But just, is there a way that we could signal this? Could you possibly give meeting times and say something like Pacific time, Central time?
Yes, I thought that was on, and I apologize because when I set the Zoom meeting on my end, it just automatically states, Pacific time. That's why on the subject, I thought I did that. I said, 1 o'clock. I should have said, EST, because I will make that clear.
There was just a confusion because you did the meeting time was set for 2 o'clock according to Pacific time. And then at the top, you said we're meeting at 1 o'clock EST. So there was just a confusion. It's okay. You know what? We came together. It was meant to be. We interacted. It's been wonderful. We're grateful to you. And John, you have a great Sunday and we'll see you again soon.
Okay.
Thank you
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Bye now, everybody. Bye now.
I
Bye,
look
thank
forward,
you.
I look forward to getting these protocols. It sounds interesting.
Yes.
Yes, all of us, thank you.
I will give you a link to all that.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks, John.
Have a
Thanks,
good
Thanks,
John.
everyone.
Bye now.
Thank you.
Right.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.